Hello, this is Mark McElroy here at Garrett's Guitars in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, and I'm here to talk about Harmony Flattop Guitars. These here behind me are my own collection of Harmony guitars. I love Harmony guitars, and this is not all my Harmony guitars, but these are most of my Harmony flat tops. And I brought them here to show you, first of all, first video, I'm going to make a few videos about this. First one is just going to be in general, what are Harmony guitars, and why do I like them, why you should like them, and then we're going to do some in-depth stuff. So, Harmony is a guitar maker from the Chicago area in the mid-20th century, in the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. Essentially, those were the years they were made in the Chicago area. The name lived on as an import name, at first for Japanese guitars, then Korean, and then who knows what. And there may be some kind of Harmony reissue thing in this whole reissue craze right now. So, Harmony was the biggest manufacturer of guitars in North America. They made more guitars than, they didn't keep good records, but they made more guitars than Gibson and Martin combined in that time, because they made inexpensive guitars. They were more gettable, so more people bought them. They were made for, working class guitars. So, therefore, in the 60s, they had a bit of a, especially with the British blues players, they all wanted Harmony guitars. Keith Richards, Pete Townsend, Jimmy Page, they all played Harmony acoustic guitars in the 60s. Not exclusively, but they all had them, because it's what their American blues heroes would play. It's kind of, and I'll demonstrate that later on the 12 string and then on the Sovereign. The Harmony Sovereign was their flagship model. It's an all solid wood guitar. It's the same wood they were making Gibsons of at the time. And so it's still an incredible value, although when I started getting interested in Harmony guitars, they were an incredible value. It was the 1990s. My friend Chris Pern, who turned me on to them, so to speak, I played with him in a group. He was also my mentor in a lot of guitar related things. He's passed away since, but a lot of what I'm telling you is things that he had told me about these guitars. So I'm just passing on the oral history as well. So, and in the 90s, they could be gotten for $100, a couple $100 for a really nice one. Now, this brings me to this other little point, which is the Harmony guitars. They were made cheaply, and they were rode hard. People really worked them hard because they're an inexpensive guitar. They often they weren't stored in cases. They weren't taken great care of. They're put in attics and basements. And a lot of the ones you come across these days are in a sad condition. So, there's also another factor that leads to their sad condition in a little bit of a design flaw. But I'm going to leave that for an entire other video because it's a lot to explain. And right now I'm just talking in general about the Harmonies. So, let's take a look at one. This is the Harmony Sovereign I was telling you about. These guitars are ladder braced, which is one reason I got interested in them, because they could be converted to left-handed easily, and I'm a left-handed player. I'll talk about the bracing in the other video when we talk about their design. But suffice to say, a ladder braced guitar has parallel braces going up the neck, going up the body. That interior bracing I'm talking about. And these braces are, every acoustic guitar is braced, and this is the traditional bracing that was used in classical guitars and still is used in classical guitars to these days. However, steel string guitars put more force with the string tension of a steel string guitar, makes the guitar want to fold in on itself. It's the problem with all steel string acoustic guitars. And Harmonies especially are victim to that. But, like I said, that's in part 2. Part 1, the Sovereign was literally... Actually, the Sovereign also has a little bit of a following in the bluegrass world. A lot of bluegrass players loved them in the day. These days, bluegrass is all about the Martin, having that sweet, sweet Martin. But Harmony Guitars, there are people I know of that generation who said, I went to a music store, I tried the Harmony, and I tried the Martin, and I bought the Harmony because I liked it better. And it's true. So, they're a great sounding guitar. They're all solid wood, including the back and sides, which is something that was unheard of in an inexpensive guitar when I was getting interested in these in the 90s. So that kind of piqued my interest. As someone who couldn't afford a Gibson or Martin at the time, you could get one of these for a couple $100, and they were, pretty impressive. So, what else in their overview? Okay, so the Sovereign was their kind of flagship model. They also made arch tops. They also made basses. They made tenor guitars, mandolins. They made whatever you wanted to buy. Here is a big part of the overview. They probably made about, and this is just a guess, 50% of the Silvertone guitars. So as you may know, Silvertone was the store brand for Montgomery Sears, and Airline was the store brand for Montgomery Ward. And Harmony made some guitars that are branded Airline, and they made some guitars that are branded Silvertone. In that mid-20th century time, there was a Sears in every town in America, even or in reach of every town in America. And there weren't music stores in every town, that's for sure. So a lot of people bought their guitars through the department stores. So Harmony, Dan Electro, and Kay in the late 50s throughout the 60s were the companies that made the Silvertone guitars. They would actually probably put in a bid to get the contract for a bunch of guitars, and they were probably in competition with each other, because every once in a while the Silvertone guitar would be a Kay, and the next year there'd be Harmonies, and the next year there'd be a new Dan Electro in the store. So Sears made an annual catalog as well, and you could buy through the catalog anywhere through the mail in the U.S. and Canada. So that was a big deal. So this is how a lot of people got these guitars. And as I said, they were inexpensive guitars, so the blues musicians would play them, and that kind of led to this, that kind of, like I said, Jimmy Page being interested in them, Keith Richards. They just sound like the blues. This is the Harmony 12-string. These are expensive online now, even in sorry condition, because it's just a bit of a craze because Jimmy Page played one, and noticeably on that song that's in A minor, whose name we shall not speak. Anyway, and a bunch of, let's see here. If I can remember it. This one happens to be tuned down to D, which a lot of people did and still do. It just kind of preserves the life of the guitar a little and gives it this great lead belly sound. But it just sounds like those great 60s songs. It sounds like the blues music of the 40s and 50s. It's not, because of the ladder bracing rather than the X bracing, they're not as boomy as Martins. They're not as, they have a little less bass, but they have a sweeter mid-range. This particular 12-string does not have, it has a tailpiece rather than through the top. This one actually doesn't have its original bridge. You can see this is a pin bridge that was modified to fit on here. And it led to all sorts of intonation problems because the bridge wasn't attached to the top. So, as you can hear, this thing doesn't intonate, but it sounds beautiful. Like I was saying, that lead belly sound, that fuzzy Alan Lomax recording of those blues guys. It wasn't because they couldn't tune their guitars, because their guitar couldn't quite go into tune. But it's in the lexicon of our day, and it's a beautiful sound because it's a 12-string. It makes it it gives it a chorusy effect. And then also here I have what they call the Sovereign's called the model 1260. The 12 strings is model 1270, and this is the 1203, which is a folk or concert size body, and this over here is the 1203 in mahogany. I think that's a lot of information for this video, so I'm going to leave that for now. There's going to be a part 2, which will be talking about the bracing and the design of the guitar, the housing wise, and how that affects things. So I hope you're as enthusiastic about harmonies as I am now, and I hope you keep watching. And oops, the phone's ringing, so I'm going to get that. Thanks for watching. Gary's Guitars, Portsmouth, New Hampshire. Check out our YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, all that. See ya.